This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Hello viewers, you're watching Pulse of Africa. I'm Jalani Tesfaye for the main news. First, our top stories for today. Ethiopian Airlines partners with African Development Bank to build new airport. DR Congo and M23 rebels to hold talks in Angola. Bahrain successfully launches first homegrown satellite. Trump administration mulls new travel ban. Now, the news in detail. Peace talks between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the M23 rebel group brokered by Angola will begin tomorrow in Angola's capital, Luanda. The date was set a day after Angola announced that the government in Kinshasa had agreed to engage in direct talks with the M23 rebels after Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi visited Luanda. Angolan President João Lourenço, the African Union's peace mediator for the conflict in Congo, is pushing for direct talks between Kinshasa and M23 rebel group. The rebel group has intensified its offensive in eastern Congo since December, capturing the provincial capitals of Goma and Bukavu. Now to South Africa. The South African presidency has expressed regret over the expulsion of its ambassador to the U.S., Ibrahim Rasool. In a post on X, South Africa has called on all stakeholders to maintain diplomatic decorum in handling the matter and reiterated its commitment to a strong relationship with the U.S. The statement comes after the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced on Friday that Rasool was no longer welcome, accusing him of being a race-baiting politician critical of President Donald Trump. This rare diplomatic move comes amid rising tensions between the U.S. and South Africa over a controversial land law and claims made by Trump about discrimination against South Africa's white minority. Shifting to Zambia. Authorities and environmentalists in Zambia fear the long-term impact of an acid spill at a copper mine that contaminated a major river and could potentially affect millions of people after signs of pollution were detected at least 100 kilometers downstream. The spill happened on February 18 when a tailings dam that holds acidic waste from a copper mine in the north of the country collapsed, according to investigators from the Engineering Institution of Zambia. The collapse allowed some 50 million liters of waste containing concentrated acid, dissolved solids, and heavy metals to flow into a stream that links to the Kaufi River, Zambia's most important waterway. Footage in the aftermath of the disaster showed piles of dead fish along the river bank. The incident also caused damage to maize and groundnut fields of local communities. Moving on to travel ban. The Trump administration is reportedly considering a new travel ban for citizens of up to 43 countries. An internal memo suggests that the Trump administration has included new countries in a draft of a two-travel ban. Per the memo, the countries on the list would be sorted into three different tiers: red, orange, and yellow. Citizens of the 11 countries in the red category would reportedly be banned from entering the United States altogether. Citizens of countries in the orange category would be subject to mandatory in-person interviews in order to receive a visa. The third category includes countries in the yellow group, meaning they have 60 days to address the administration's concerns, or each country risks being moved to the other categories. In other news, Bahrain launched its first locally designed and developed satellite, Al-Munthir, on Saturday, marking a major step forward in the country's growing space ambitions. The project, led by the National Space Agency NSSA, represents a significant milestone in Bahrain's journey toward becoming a key player in space technology. Al-Munthir, a 3U CubeSat, is notable for being the first satellite in the region to feature artificial intelligence for onboard image processing, setting a new technological benchmark. Equipped with cutting-edge payloads, the satellite includes an Earth observation camera, a robust cybersecurity system, and an innovative broadcast function. The satellite will orbit at the sun's synchronous altitude of 550 km and is expected to remain operational for 2 years. Shifting to our next story. Fresh US-UK airstrikes targeted the city of Sada in northern Yemen, the Houthis announced on Saturday, as US President Donald Trump ordered decisive actions against the group. Sada is considered the main stronghold of the Houthi group and shares a land border with Saudi Arabia. The Houthi-run health ministry said at least 31 people were killed and 101 others were injured in the strikes.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel, all the time. Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Turning to business news. Ethiopian Airlines and the African Development Bank have signed a partnership agreement to collaborate on the construction of Ethiopia's new mega international airport. Ethiopian Airlines Group signed a letter of intent with the African Development Bank to establish a partnership on the new Bishoftu International Airport development project in Ethiopia. The accord was signed by Ms. Fintaso, Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO, and Ms. Nena Nwabufo, Vice President for Regional Development, Integration and Strategy, representing the African Development Bank. The letter of intent signing ceremony was graced by Ethiopian Finance Minister Ahmed Shide and Akwemi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank. Ethiopia's new international airport expansion, led by Ethiopian Airlines Group, aims to meet rising passenger and cargo demand as Bole International Airport nears full capacity. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance on Friday expressed confidence that a deal to sell TikTok and ensure its continued operation in the country will be most finalized by the April deadline. There will almost certainly be a high-level agreement that I think satisfies our national security concerns, allows there to be a distinct American TikTok enterprise, Vance said. Typically, some of these deals that are much smaller and involve much less capital take months to close, he said. We're trying to close this thing by early April. I think that the outlines of this thing will be very clear. The question is whether we can get all the paper done, he added. Before concluding, let us provide you with the latest updates on global commodities prices. Now to weather updates. That's all for today, and thanks for watching Pulse of Africa.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.